Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining our 30-minute session today, which will introduce who we are, what we do, and how the Engineering Skills College works in partnership with employers like yourselves and apprentices in developing the next generation of engineer and technical professionals. So just to let you know before we begin this webinar, we will be recording for quality purposes. So I'm Shana and I'm Head of Apprenticeships for the Engineering Skills College. So to begin, who are we? So we're the Engineering Skills College and we are a sub-pillar of the London Design and Engineering UTC. We are an accredited apprenticeship training provider who was established in 2017, and we currently deliver a range of level 3 and 4 engineering and digital-led apprenticeship programs, led by our specialist teachers with real industry experience. We are also really proud to have achieved a good Ofsted with outstanding features in October 2024. And this, we think, reflects the quality of our provision, learner support and strong employer partnerships, which we continue to grow. Our delivery model is designed to support both apprentices and employers operating through a weekly hybrid approach across all 52 weeks of the year. This allows apprentices to develop the underpinning technical knowledge known as off the job, which Jill will go into in more depth later. Whilst the off the job is primarily taught within educational environment, they still have the opportunity to do on-the-job workplace competencies to ensure that they are being provided with a good 360 overview. So what makes the Engineering Skills College different? Firstly, our programs are shaped directly by industry needs. So we specialise in engineering, digital technologies and design, ensuring our curriculum reflects real employer requirements and current industry practice, which is obviously integral for our apprentices to become occupationally competent. Our approach is built around strong industry partnerships, and we work with a mixture of SMEs and major employers, ensuring apprentices gain practical, hands-on experience that directly supports their roles in the workplace, as previously said. And as you may know, apprenticeships also provide a more practical hands-on support for individuals who may not wish to follow a traditional academic pathway. This definitely helps to diversify entry into the sector whilst creating opportunities for a broader talent pool. I'd like to now introduce you to my colleague Saad, one of our specialist teachers, who will now provide you with an overview of the Digital Engineering Technician Standard. Thank you, Saad.
Thank you, Shana. Hello, everyone. So as Shana has mentioned, my name is Saad. I am the teacher, or one of the teachers here for the Digital Engineering Technician Level 3. And my speciality is, just for those who are unaware, I do come mainly from an architecture background, then developed that more into construction project management. And now I have a very heavy focus on BIM as one of the core competencies that I've taken forward. So what I've decided to do for today, I've not decided to do too much in terms of content and information, but what I think is integral for you as employers to understand is the courses that we do. So to begin with, the purpose of the Digital Engineering Technician: apprentices will become competent in their digital skills, and they should be able to support people that you have working on your sites, whether that's your digital engineers, your specialists, your architectural technologists, whatever competencies there are to do with digital skills. We have that aim to try and teach them so they become competent on site. And as you also see from the next slide, this is a very vague breakdown of the units that are taught to the learners, when the apprentices, when they come to us. Now, the units are split into two parts. They have a mandatory unit and they have an optional unit. The mandatory units are those where they do not have a choice. These are mandatory units set to us by the exam board, which they must complete in order to pass and receive the qualification. We have Unit 1, 2, 4, and 5. Unit 1 is an exam-based unit. Unit 2 is also an exam-based unit. And then Units 4 and 5 I will come on to slightly later. And the final bit on this slide, as you can see, is the optional units. Now, that will range from BIM, it will range from site management, site engineering, and there's loads of different skills that we can pick as their tutors to make sure that they are learning the key competencies that they need for site. For Unit 1, as you can see on the board, it's an external exam. They will have to revise for this. They will have to partake in an examination where they are learning about the different types of materials used on construction, whether that's your concrete, your timber, your glass, the application of maths to some degree, how to understand structural problems and solving statistical complexes that we have. They'll also be learning about materials in terms of heat loss, soundproofing, and lighting. And then we're going to move on to Unit 2 now, which is slightly more in depth. Unit 2 is slightly larger in terms of the skills they will use. This is a 3-day exam where they will use Revit, which is one of the softwares we teach for CAD. They'll also use BIM to some degree. They will learn how to take something from conceptual stages to the developed and the technical design, and then they will be looking at constraints, whether that's for the planning, whether that's for their stats, the environmental, or if it's any site-based constraints. On to the next slide, we have Unit 4, which is construction technology. This is something that we give to them internally, so this is through an assignment or a presentation. For example, you have your types of construction, your foundations, your superstructure, and all these things which we are teaching them here on site. You will be replicating that on site for them to be able to see through theory through us, and they will see the practical versions of these with yourselves. And then we have Unit 5, which is a very, very important unit on the next slide, which is health and safety. Now, we all understand the implications, the importance, and the wide reasoning behind why we teach health and safety, so I won't go into too much, but they will be learning key legislation that allows them to work safely on site. They will develop themselves safe systems of work, risk assessments, method statements, and they will learn how to report through RIDDOR, also that we can prepare them for when they are on site and they have completed the course. Unit 6 is also something I teach, which is surveying and construction. We are fortunate enough that we have amazing tools here at ESC, where we do have theodolites, we have total stations, we have all this very techie equipment that we're able to give to the apprentices. What they see on site is what they get at college as well, and I think that just goes to show how much we are really invested in their education. And then Unit 7, which is one of my favorite units, which is graphical detailing in construction. Those that are doing digital will need to learn how to draw. I think it's an integral part of being part of the digital apprenticeship. Whether you're on site, you should be able to sketch really quickly and then develop that into your CAD drawings, your Revit, your AutoCAD, how to use conventions, your symbols, your scales, your annotation, and then also just communicating things from the concept stage all the way down to when they are completed. And that's a summary and overview of what the digital units do give. These are some optional units, as you can see. You've got Unit 9, which is management of a construction project. You've got Unit 11, which is site engineering, and then Unit 18, which is BIM. So how they are using online tools and different tools to collaborate effectively on site. And then I'm now going to pass back over to Jill, I believe.
Thank you so much, Saad. Wow, that's so interesting. And thank you, Shana. So now you've had a little behind the scenes tour of what we do at the Engineering Skills College and also what we do on the teaching program for our Digital Engineers Level 3. I just want to really take you on a little journey really of how this will impact you as an employer and what apprenticeships could look like for yourself. Firstly, the business impact, just some key points here really if you were to go down the apprenticeship program to train your staff. It reduces the pressure on senior leaders because you will then achieve employees who are fully competent. The apprentices are trained with up-to-date competencies, so the latest equipment, the latest legislation like Saad mentioned. Support high quality skills development. So it's all around, the new skills and skills industry and how we can retrain or train the new generation of, and then you end up with a great skilled workforce. A huge question that all the employers ask when they're looking at the apprenticeship program is, where do we start? So what is an apprentice would be a good place to start. So an apprentice is your employee. They work for you, and typically 4 days a week with 1 day. On our program, it's 1 day a week, and they will then have this as their off-the-job training. And this is where then they will, be trained in their academic side of the apprenticeship and gain those qualifications. They'll have full support from the training provider, and that'll be from the beginning to right to the end when they sit their endpoint assessment, so the end-to-end journey. Why consider an apprenticeship route? It strengthens your talent pool and giving those practical skills to all your workforce. It's a great investment in the growth of the company while shaping future talent with support from central government in the way of funding. Who can be an apprentice? So an apprentice could be a new employee of yours, or even someone who's already in the company and they want to what we call upskill. So gain those professional qualifications. There's a minimum age of 16 on the level 3 apprenticeships, and there's no upper limit. So the age is, there's no upper limit with that age requirement. One of the things we would ask you to do is identify your company needs. So look at your company, look at what's needed in that organization, and then look at how you want to go about this apprenticeship journey. One of the things you could do is look at your current employees, and they could be upskilled. This is what we call upskilling. So they would stay in their role that they're in now, and they will gain those professional qualifications. This would be in a way of a 1 day a week training. And this is, like Shana said, we do deliver a remote blended learning for some of our courses, and we call this the off-the-job training. And a requirement is that they have 6 hours a week of off-the-job training. That's mandated by the government. Employers then would then create what we call a digital account on the digital account service portal. And then once they do that, then we can then draw down the funding for the course. You may choose to take on a new employee. So you're hiring an apprentice, and that will be their role, that will be their title. They will join you as an apprentice. You'll advertise this role and this position and define their responsibilities and progression just like you would any other role in your organization. You'd use a company recruitment and onboarding protocol. This would be then a commitment for yourselves to support them with the off-the-job training as above. For that would be 6 hours a week. The employer, just as above, would create an account on the digital account service, and then again we will be able to draw down the funding for the payment of the course. Support will be offered if needed. A question again your company will need to consider is, are you a large organisation and paying a levy? So the levy is the growth and skills levy, and that's for every organisation who has an annual pay bill of 3 million or more. And you have a statutory requirement to pay a 0.5% of your pay bill, and that goes into, like I said, your growth and skills levy. You can then use this levy to train current staff or new employees on the apprenticeship program, and that goes into your digital apprenticeship service account, and you can use that for any of the funding if it's relevant in regards to apprenticeships. The training provider then draws down from that funding, and that's how you pay for the course. So it will be it wouldn't be free because you've already paid the levy, but it'll be drawn down from your levy pot. The other way of funding an apprenticeship, you could be a non-levy payer, so a small to medium size, an SME organisation. So if you were an SME, you haven't paid the levy, there are still caveats where you can get 100% of the training costs still paid for by central government. And that is if you take on someone who's under the age of 22 or 22 to 24 if they have an EHCP or they're a care leaver, then the course will be completely covered 100% by the government. If they are age 22 or above and don't have a care plan, then the government still pays 95% of the course fees, leaving you an amount to pay of 5%, which covers the whole course over the duration of that apprenticeship training. So the payment will be spread over, for example, the digital engineering course is £21,000. 5% of that is £1,050, and then you divide that over the 36 months, giving you a monthly drawdown amount. Again, it's lots of figures, it's lots of numbers. We're here to support you with that, but that gives you a really clear overview. I would just say thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. Shana has given you an intro about who we are. Saad has given you an introduction of the course and what that looks like. And hopefully you've been able to gain a little bit more knowledge on what apprenticeships look like and any funding available. But please do drop us an email at the email just there on the screen. If you have any further questions, you need any support or anything to do with apprenticeships, we are here to support you. And there you have our names. You have Shana, Saad and myself there if you do want to reference us in any email if you need further information. Thank you so much again for joining our webinar today, and we look forward to hearing from you.